All right. Hello, headbangers out there. My name is Alan, and it's that time again. Let's talk metal. Actually, tonight, I'm not going to talk a whole lot of metal. Decided to do sort of a just fun, off the cuff topic. I have dug through the vinyl racks and pulled out some of the craziest cover artwork on albums and on singles that happen to be in my collection. So instead of let's talk metal tonight, it may be let's gawk at some metal. Not going to go real deep on these item descriptions. I'll probably go through them relatively fast. A lot of these have great music on them. Musically, there's some cool stuff here. But you gotta wonder what they were thinking with the art direction when they worked on the cover illustrations and whatnot. Without further ado, let's jump right in with one of the most egregious covers, possibly the worst I've ever seen. I no longer own the album, but before I got rid of it, I took a picture of the cover because it was special. And I wanted to make sure I always had documented evidence that the thing existed. It's by a band called Cry of Terror, and it's their album Terror of the Concrete World. And that's what they did for their album art. Uh, Emaciated, white haired, yellow skinned child sitting on a beach. Gotta love the fact that, yeah, they didn't even have like the spacing worked out quite right for the band name, much less the title. And I'm almost certain that whole thing is colored with crayons. Weird. Apparently, this does exist with a different cover, but this right here kind of takes the cake. Musically, it's been a long time since I heard the album. I remember it being sort of a little bit of a sort of thrashy, a little bit of hardcore crossover overtones to it. Wasn't terrible. Wasn't good enough that I wanted to keep it. But this right here, yeah, that's a winner. Okay, let's move on to one of the most infamous cases of bad cover art. It's the original album by Fate's Warning, Night on Brocken. And if the last one was colored with Crayolas, pretty sure this was done with watercolor, like the little 10-cent watercolor kit they used to give you in after school programs when you were like 4. So yeah, that's a thing. Now you can chalk this up. It's like, it's very early Metal Blade. There were lots of so-so covers. They were still getting their feet under them. It's forgivable, and it's not a bad album. Not their best, but not bad. They had a chance to redeem themselves because the album got reissued. Like, okay, we got the message. That cover wasn't so hot, so we'll give you new cover art for the next pressing. Cool, right? You can atone for past sins. Until you roll this one out. And here's the second pressing, which I want to say this was a lateral move. It's not necessarily any worse, but it sure ain't any better either. Yeah. So what'd they do? Well, when it was time to press it up on cassette later on, they're like, okay, sorry. No, we got 2 strikes here, but we can make this right for the cassette. We'll get a new cover image. No more Crayola, no more paint by number shit. Let's get something real going here. Let's put a picture of the moon on the cover because that's so metal. You had 3 chances to come up with one cover that didn't suck, and you missed every single time. And that makes Night on Brocken special. Okay, let's move right along through some more 12-inch albums. We've got up next, great thrash band, great thrash album. I like this one a lot. But hey guys in Whiplash, when your record company hands you artwork and they've put Fisher Price people in as part of the scenery, it's probably time to get a lawyer and see if you can get out of that contract because wow, this is a rough cover. Don't know what was up with this concept, but this one kind of screams you're not getting another album on your contract or something. Again, killer albums, got some great stuff on it, including an absolute speed metal classic called The Burning of Atlanta. But Fisher Price people are not metal. Let's see what else we got on the stack. This one always irked me for a specific reason. Now, this bigger name band, so one of the classic hard rock metal albums, AC/DC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. This is the original cover art. A lot of people complain about the more well-known later cover, where it's, the people standing around with the black tape over their eyes, and it looks kind of weird. This cover is much, much weirder and much, much worse for one big problem. Why is Bond's forearm the size of the pool table? It's called perspective, people. It's the first thing you learn in art school. What's going on here? Why is his arm so big? No. All right, let's move on to another one. This is one I've shown in a previous video, but got to bring it back for this topic, definitely. It's Black Holes, Land of Mystery. It's weird Italian kind of psychedelic doom band, and there's just all kinds of stuff going on with the cover here. Now, I will say one thing I did when pulling albums out for this little project is I intentionally did not pick anything that just had like pictures of the band on it, because it's like, oh, that's a little too easy to make fun of, and not trying to be mean here or anything. This one has a picture of the band on the back of the cover, though, that does bear showing off. Three guys dressed up like extras from Robin Hood Men in Tights standing around a child's coffin. Creepy much? Because that's just kind of messed up. I don't care if you are from Italy. I don't care where you're from. That ain't cool. It's a very interesting album, has a very unique kind of sound to it, very much emblematic of that Italian doom metal scene that I've covered in a previous video. But yeah, that's a creepy picture and a weird, fantastical cover. Let's keep moving along. This one's just a goofy one, but I always kind of liked it. It's Victims, Power Hungry. How hungry? That hungry. Yeah, okay. It's not a bad little album. It's got a great song on it called The Bridge about Ichabod Crane. And Victim did get one other EP out, so this wasn't their only vinyl appearance. Not a bad little band. But yeah, I just always found this cover just kind of like, oh, bless your heart, guys. That's so bad that I just kind of like it. All right, moving on. I think I've shown this one in a previous video, pretty sure. It's a German band with an independently released album, Adrian's One Step into the Uncertain. So it's like hey, asshole, get away from my cucumbers. Either that or this guy is saying, waiter, I think I found a bug in my salad. There's a story that was supposed to go with this piece of art, and I'm just not sure what it is. Random guy walking in, misty background, finds giant spider eggs and breaks out a gun to try to take down Shelob here? I don't know. I'm guessing something got lost in translation from German to, well, anything not German. Oh. Okay, last of the LPs, then we'll do some singles. This is right up there with Cry of Terror in the what were they thinking category. It's a band called ARYON. They made an album called Rebels of the Night. It's a pretty good album, very early 80s, very guitar-driven sound. Lots of strong songs on it, though. Musically, it's pretty cool. It's worth checking out. But when you see the cover for it, you're a little bit afraid that if you buy it, you're going to get contacted by the FBI or someone. There are so many things wrong with what's going on here. Let's start with the most innocent one of them. By the 1980s, you should be able to afford color photography for the cover of your album. You don't really need to be doing black and white anymore. And then, you're, young band of wannabe rocker and headbangers, and we're rebels of the night. Yeah, man. And we got this badass album coming out. And, how are we rebels in the night? We go around lurking in the shadows, looking through the windows at 6-year-old girls who are playing with toys that look like they're rejects from a orphanage that burned down in 1953. The fuck, man? Who thought this was a good idea? And when they told it to other people and said, hey, cover concept, why didn't somebody smack them down? I mean, more than one person probably saw this before it actually got pressed up and vinyl got, slid into them. Nobody hit the big red, stop production now button. You couldn't just put your logo on there and crop this out and have a color photograph. Wouldn't have been great, but would have kept you off the list of pedophile hunters for the next few decades. And not surprisingly, Arion didn't get around to making another release. Musically, they might could have pulled it off, but after having this cover attached to your career, I'm guessing they changed their names and went into the witness protection program. That's just messed up. Okay, let's move on to some 7-inch vinyl then. And 7-inch vinyl, I'm always kind of impressed how sometimes bands can come up with really cool cover concepts, even using pretty basic art styles. For example, a lot of the new wave of British heavy metal singles have this monochrome color scheme where it's just black and white, because the bands were all making them up themselves. They didn't have money to pay anybody or official art training. But a lot of times they could come up with some pretty clever designs that really got the concept of the song title or the band name across. We'll dig through the boxes one night and I'll show some of those off. Other times, bands just really miss. All right, these aren't all new wave of British heavy metal. We got some American ones here at the top to start with. We'll start with a band called Stonehenge. And oh, how they danced, the little people of Stonehenge. See, it wasn't just the guys in Spinal Tap. They had trouble with perspective. Things here are way out of whack too. The either that bat is really big, or someone got their feet and inches mixed up on the site of Stonehenge once again. Musically, this is a pretty cool single, but yeah, that covers a trip. All right, next one's another goofy US single by a band called BPS. I'm assuming it stands for beats per second, but I might be wrong about that. Support BPS or I'll split your lip. Okay. Musically, one of the songs on this is really good. It's got sort of a punky vibe to it, mixed in with some heavy metal. Pretty nice little crossover piece. The flip side is just atrocious. But no matter how bad the music on side B is, you gotta love that cover art. That's a thing right there. Okay, this next one, for the life of me, I cannot remember that I owned this single. So every time I flip through the singles boxes, I see this thing and there's this little moment where I'm just like, what is that? And I look at the cover and it doesn't help much. I always have to pull it out and look at it to remind myself that it's a single by a band called the Reflectors. Reflectors. We have song titles Late at Night, which is a pretty cool tune. It's got a pretty heavy little crunch to it. I kind of like it, a little over the top. And side A is called Fun. You can kind of make it out there. Yeah, it says Fun there in the bright pink neon shapes on the blue background. Fun doesn't do much for me, but the Late at Night song is pretty cool. I don't know what the heck they were thinking with this cover, and I don't know why I can't remember that I owned this single. Um, Picked it up years ago from Buddy and liked the one song, but man, that's some bright pink for you. Uh, uh, how pink is it? Not as pink as the next one, though. Sachet. Talked about this one in a previous video. It's a good single. These guys definitely were listening to a good amount of Raven, and you hear that in the tracks on it. I said I wasn't going to do any cover art that had just pictures of the band, but when you draw a caricature of your band and then you print it up on like Pepto Bismol pink paper, you get put in the video. Uh, nice single, weird cover, but not the worst in the batch. Next up, another one I've shown off before because I like this one a lot musically. Uh, Zeus. Again, this one's got kind of a 70s hard rock influence to it, a little funky vibe mixed in, but good heavy music. And if your band name is Zeus, you've got to get the concept of Greek gods and legends and monsters of rock across. You probably could do better than that, but I can't help but kind of like it because, yeah, musically they had the goods. Speaking of monsters of rock, is there anything more metal than the last Heavy Load outing, Monsters of the Night? Because, yeah, Teen Wolf rocking the guitar there. Corny as all get out, and I've always liked that image. Kind of dig it. All right, appears we've crossed over to some of the Swedish material. The next one makes Monsters of the Night look like a Van Gogh work. Got a single by a band called Leslie Pace. They didn't release a whole lot of material. Kind of like this little single, though. It's one of those on the Pang record label, which did a lot of relatively cheap pressings in the first wave of Swedish heavy metal, but a lot of good music on some of those singles. But about that cover art concept, guys, Snotball Space Trolls from Hell? What's going on here? Giant floating green troll head. Pretty sure they borrowed the same box of crowns that the guys in Cry of Terror were working out of. And he's got something going on there? I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure I picked something like this out of my nose when I was about 6 years old. We're just going to put that right over there. Okay, next. This one always makes me laugh because it is a fantastic single. It has two absolute gems of 80s heavy metal on it. It's a band from Denmark. It's not the best name for a band ever, possibly. When you're thinking of cool things to name your band, you're thinking, Executioner, Terror, Metal, something. Put the word goat in there. Somehow these fellows landed on the moniker Randy. Randy Rhoads? It's the only possible thing I can think of. But hey, you know how you can distract from everybody asking you, what the hell's with your weird band name? You put a carnivorous lettuce man on your picture sleeve. That's right. I'm pretty sure he's made of lettuce. And he's definitely chowing down on a severed human hand. Ew. This is pre-Cannibal Corpse here. This is from 1986. What's going on with this? I don't know. Musically, this is fantastic mid-80s European sort of proto-power metal. Both songs on this, great medleys, very catching. It's got Shadows Are Falling, backed with The Beast, if I remember the title correctly, just making sure. I'm guessing that, the cover concept was meant for that song. Yeah, you've got The Beast, you've got Shadows Are Falling. Amazing single. We'll revisit this sometime. I'll play a clip of it. The band recorded some demos. They've all been reissued as an anthology. I think it was put out by No Remorse Records. And it may have been reissued by a different label with some different packaging, because the original pressing on No Remorse was a little, it left a bit to be desired in terms of packaging and presentation. Carnivorous Lettuce Man. I will always love this single, and I will always love the Carnivorous Lettuce Man. But I don't think I love it as much as this next one. Got into some new wave of British heavy metal, and let's look ahead for a second. Maybe I want to save that one. Yeah. Let's shuffle that to the bottom of the stack because it deserves to be last on the list. Again, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of bands in the new wave of British heavy metal came up with cool cover concepts, even using pretty minimal, art skills. And others, well, they kind of missed the mark. First one here is an obscure one from a band called Challenger. So Sure of Yourself. Giant lightning bolt and little cloaked wizard, druid, monk, priest. I don't know. He's the 13th level cleric healer in your D&D party. Is he the one casting the lightning bolt? Is he trying to stop the lightning bolt? Does he have anything to do with the lightning bolt? I have no idea. Obscure single. It's not the best new wave of British heavy metal single, though I like one of the songs. So Sure of Yourself is not great. It's a little bouncy. It's meant to be catchy, but it's a little simplistic. But the flip side on it is pretty good. It's called Out to Kill, and it's got a more sort of moody atmosphere to it that a lot of new wave of British heavy metal bands were really good at doing on songs. I like those tracks from new wave of British heavy metal bands. But lads, about your mock-up for the cover art. What's this got to do with anything involving Challenger, So Sure of Yourself, Out to Kill? There's just why? I don't know. But you will be glad to know that the little cloaked figure did find extra work hanging out on the cover of a single, also new wave of British heavy metal, by a band called Cobra. You see, this is the Cobra, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the exact same dude from the Challenger artwork. Yeah, you see, it's a Cobra. Kind of looks like a giant snake. There's fangs there. Is our cleric priest healing the someone who got bit by the Cobra? Is he trying to charm the snake? Is he sicking the snake on somebody? I don't know what's going on here. This one, again, not the best new wave of British heavy metal single ever made. It's got Looking for a Lady and Graveyard Boogie as the song titles. Probably tells you that, yeah, we're not exactly talking Satan's Kiss of Death here, but I kind of like the tracks. I've heard much worse. I liked it enough that I actually paid money for it, despite what was on the cover, so it's not that bad. Moving right along. Just got a couple more that I'll show off here. Next one's band called Dragster. They were on the Heavy Metal Records label. This is another classic example of a single that has one killer song on it with a track called Ambition, and it just is a rip snorter. Killer guitars, really great track. The flip side never did much for me. I thought it was kind of plain. It was on the Heavy Metal Records label, same ones that did things like Bitches Sin and Witchfinder General. I've never quite understood what the heck was going on with this picture sleeve. There it is, picture sleeve for Dragster's Ambitions. So you got this kind of cool but kind of weird skull thing. Yeah, taking up most of the art. Kind of looks like it's got big handlebars sticking out of the top of it. I'm guessing there's like a motorcycle hot rod kind of thing going on there. Okay, I can dig it. I can dig it. I really don't get what's with the lettering over here. Is it sideways? Is it upside down? Is it this way? Is it Klingon? Is it stylized Japanese characters? Don't know. Why are they there? Don't know. Um, and oh, just in case you weren't sure that a new wave of British heavy metal band releasing a new wave of British heavy metal single during the new wave of British heavy metal on a British record label, it is made in England. So just so there's no confusion, maybe they were afraid people were going to mistake this for as a Japanese import in the early 80s, the heavy metal records label. I don't know what to do here. Kind of cool image, weird characters going down the side, and why did I need to be reminded it was made in England? I don't know. It has always confounded me. But anyway, moving on to the last and one of my favorites. It's a cool single, very obscure one, kind of hard to track down, but there are anthology reissues, so you can check out the band. The band is called Big Daisy. But right away, once again, you're thinking, maybe not taking your musical career all that seriously, or maybe there's a hidden, name there I don't get. It's kind of hard to imagine Big Daisy ever, signing big record contracts and, taking the world by storm. But they were going to take something. They take the prize for one of my favorite weird picture sleeves of all time, with a whole lot of rosy cover on it, maybe? No. Even though it's new wave of British heavy metal, Big Daisy sound a bit like heavy Rush influence. This again is not at the heavy end of the spectrum. It's more at the more progressive leaning side of things. It's a really good single. Both tracks on this one I like a lot. It's got songs called Fever and Footprints on the Water. And really well written songs, nice melodies. I like the vocalist. It's on the LEJ record label, which is one of the really collectible labels for new wave of British heavy metal singles. Several really good ones came out on this little label. It's a label that was tied to a specific studio. And Big Daisy's, sort of, one of the cream of the crop things that came out on that label. And I don't care if you hate new wave of British heavy metal. I don't care if you detest the songs on this single. You gotta love that picture sleeve. What are they thinking? I actually had a little light shit on this by a buddy of mine over in Scotland, name of Graham, used to run the New and Improved Live and Otherwise blog, which back in sort of the around 2000 to 2010 range was one of the best sites on Blogspot for learning about all kinds of cool and obscure 70s and 80s and even early 90s rock, hard rock, heavy metal stuff. Fantastic guy. Can't speak highly enough of him. Turned me on to so many cool little obscure bands I never would have found on my own. And yeah, I was, joking with him about this one time, and he cued me in that actually, apparently in England, there is this kind of weird kitschy cottage industry around having vacation postcards that feature fat ladies in old-timey bathing suits. That apparently it's just a cultural tradition for British people when they go on vacation to the beach to buy postcards with this kind of image on it and send them back to all their friends to show them what a great time they're having on vacation at the beach. And they wonder why they lost the empire. What can you say? Love the picture sleeve, and it's an excellent single. If sort of Rush influenced new wave of British heavy metal perks up your ears, check out some Big Daisy. They did some demo tracks as well, and a lot of the demo songs are really, really good too. It's a shame they didn't get to release an album back in the day, but the anthology is really worth checking out. Okay, I'm at the bottom of the stack, so let's talk metal in the comments down below. What are some of your favorite, they're so bad, they're good, they're crazy, they make you smile, they always put a smile on your face or make you laugh a little bit? What are some of your favorite cover art pieces that fall in that category? Let me know down below. Maybe you've got some I've never heard of that I'll have to check out and sear those images into my eyeballs. Okay, until next time, everybody take care and keep banging your head.